Thank you, everybody. This is my first public speak. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm Italian also, so you have to get used to my accent for the presentation. You have 30 minutes, so I hope that at the end you'll get some words that I pronounce tonight. So my presentation tonight is about the introduction to the web formatter conversion tool. This is a tool that I built in the last 4 months. I started in February, and I released it in June. It's a tool that I built during the night, so you may have some bugs there with few kids around too. And the tool is, as Dan said, is an idea that came in my mind when I was trying to figure out solutions for something to implement during the Sitecore hackathon. And then I said, no, this is too big. I can do it in 24 hours. But then I continued to think about it, talked with Dan, and he said, yeah, it's a great idea, go for it. So if you have today a module, a tool that does the conversion, it's also thanks to Dan that pushed me and said, yes, do it. So another thing, I like to do when I'm in my presentation, I call this user group New England Sitecore user group and non-Sitecore user group New England, just because in Italian the word sugne means lard. No, that's not appropriate. I'm going to switch the acronym there. So I'm Alessandro Fagnuolo. I'm a principal developer of Velir. I worked for almost more than 6 years with Sitecore, and I'm also a dad of 2 kids. I'm a cook, I love to cook, and in the last 2 years I also started to have a garden in my yard, so I'm also a gardener. I have a blog. You can read my posts on Eureka at alessandrofagnuolo.com. I realized that I may need to change the domain because my last name is going to be impossible for you to type. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Alex Fagnuolo again, so I may change that as well. Last 3 tweets from Sitecore would say, Ale Fangino just tweeted this. Fangino was a guy in South America that doesn't do anything with Sitecore. He just loves good food and wine. So maybe we have something in common. So what the tool does, so it's a very simple concept behind the tool. The tool does conversion of items and data, so not just items, also data, from Sitecore Web for Marketers to Sitecore Forms. With the release of Sitecore 9.1, Sitecore Web for Marketer module was officially deprecated. So there was no way to use the module in Sitecore 9.1. And there was no easy automated solution delivered by Sitecore to migrate your existing form from Web for Marketers. And that's where this tool helps in that migration. It's an accelerator. It's a tool for developers that should help to migrate the items and the data. So the data and the items are going to get migrated together. It's a console application. My target was developers. So I said, let me focus on something that works, and later maybe on a nice graphic user interface. I decided to stick with the console app. And I think, again, the target is developers, and I'm pretty sure all of you are more familiar with typing command and commands from Windows than myself. I'm pretty sure of that. It can be executed from any virtual machine, so you don't need to be in a specific, the source, where your source instance is running or your destination, your target instance is running to run the tool. You can just run on any virtual machine that has connectivity with the databases. The tool works, it's a SQL to SQL tool, like it works at data layer. It doesn't use any Sitecore module, or doesn't require Sitecore libraries to work with, and that makes the module compatible with all the versions of Web for Marketers. I haven't tested all of them, but the way that I built it is not tied to the specific version, a specific library. The data is data-driven, so the data controls what you can migrate or not. And the target version is from Sitecore 9.1 and fast and more. So now I tested with 9.1 and 9.1 update 1 so far. So how the tool works. So as I said, it processes data from a database to another database. And the way that the mapping is controlled is using JSON objects. So I built this name. I invented the metadata template. If you look at it online, it doesn't exist somewhere. But I sounded good. I like it. I'll make something about it. So the metadata template JSON object is an object where the mapping between the source and the destination are defined at field level. So for each item template, I map the relationship between source and destination, and I also support inheritance. The same way that templates can inherit other templates in Sitecore, I didn't want to have gigantic JSON objects to handle with, so I built these templates. These objects are all some object inherits other base objects. The tool also in the conversion process, the Sitecore Workflow for Marketing and Sitecore Forms are different. And Sitecore Forms introduce different ways of achieving things that we were able to do in Workflow for Marketers. So the tool in the conversion process is trying to convert items, also enforcing specific best practices that the tool is expecting to have in place. Some examples here are, for example, the page creation. Every form should have a page. And the page is, for the ones that are not familiar with, it's just a wrapper, a container of sections that field a form can have. But for marketers, didn't have the concept of page. Text field. In Workflow for Marketers, labels were part of the field itself for sections or for field itself or for paragraph they have for the introductions or for the footer of your form. So when they get converted, these items now become text fields in Sitecore form. And another example, another item that follows best practices, and this is I grabbed it from the community on Sitecore Stack Exchange and blogs that we've written on, how to display a text message. In Workflow for Marketers, there was just a success mode. You could redirect to another page or you could show a message. And that was all in the form item. In Sitecore Forms, that's been dropped completely. Now there is a submit action to redirect to a page. But if you want to show a message, there was no out-of-the-box solution to render a message on the page where after a successful submission. So the approach instead is your form with 2 pages. So the second page is where you render your success message. And the submit button, you define what's the action to do. So instead, you can define the button becomes like a next button in this case. It's sending you to the second page where the success message is defined. Now, the tool also, so when I built the tool, I thought, okay, I want to make something simple that everybody can use, that doesn't have to scramble around the documentation, think too much about the conversion. But as we know, in Workflow for Marketers, everybody has the ability to do customization. So how to support this customization? I made the tool extensible. And the way that I made it extensible is because I'm using JSON objects for the metadata. So these files are loaded runtime when the tool starts. And so you can add your own custom metadata template to the object to map your custom fields, your custom items. And also I added dependency injection, and so the ability to load in the IRC container when the tool starts any custom converter that inherits a base class that is built on. So in that way, you can customize the converter that comes with a module. You can build your own, And this gives power because not all the conversions are already defined. Like I follow the conversion using the demo forms and forms that I'm aware of, but your custom fields, your data in those custom fields may be converted in a different way because you were storing the data in the source in a different way. Of course, there will be stuff that cannot be converted. The tool doesn't convert 100% of the items. What cannot be converted? Anything that is not mapped in terms of fields will not be converted. And anything that got dropped in terms of functionality from web form actors in Sitecore forms will not be converted unless you extend it. And the extensions, I'll talk about more detail about the extension. But to support the developers and the business analysts to identify, okay, the tool made the migration, the conversion for me, created automatically all my new forms. But what the tool meant? Well, the tool generates a CSV report, conversion analysis report, where it lists all the fields for all the forms and all the elements defined in field values that the tool was not able to map. It wasn't able to convert. And that way, it becomes easy to understand and do a post-analysis and say, okay, I need to act on this. I need to manually tweak this field, this form, because it didn't got converted automatically. But the output can also be used to say, okay, maybe I need to build a custom converter or a custom JSON object to support things that have been converted for using the tool out of the box version. And so in the latest release, like a week ago, I also start to support the ability to extend the module conversion capability to support field types and save actions that are introduced in Sitecore forms using by popular Sitecore modules that are in Sitecore Marketplace. And I started with two popular modules, the Sitecore form extension, and I'm supporting now the conversion of the file upload and the capture field that these were missing in the out-of-the-box Sitecore form solution. And another plugin that I support also is Sitecore form send email submit action that, like the name says, introduce the capability of doing a send email submit action. Sitecore form extensions also send email action. I decided to support another plugin for that save action in terms of conversion because it's closer to the version that was available in Sitecore Web for Marketers module. Oh, demo time. Let's get my answer, I guess. And hopefully the demo gods are nice to me today. Can you guys see better? I think so, yeah. So in this folder, I'm gonna go through the installation process first. I was thinking, oh, maybe I should have everything installed for the module. And then, let me check the time. And then I said, no, maybe I'll have time. Hopefully I have time. So you'll start downloading the module from the GitHub repository or the Sitecore Marketplace. And the module is released in archive. So the first step, unzip the archive. I'm running, everything is local today. And for this demo, I'm using two instances. The source is the Sitecore 8.2 update 3 version, and the target is Sitecore 9.1.1. Those are already installed, so we don't have to install them together today. So I have my module, and this is the folder structure of the module as it gets released. Like there is the lib folder are all the libraries, and then the metadata object that I was mentioning before. There is the schemas of the metadata object because the tool also validates your metadata JSON object, and yes, they're coming.
Really?
They're noisy when they come, I guess. Oh, that came out. Oh, you know. Oh, you move it. Yeah, this is the problem with Italians, that we move too much when we talk. And I touch too many things. I should put my hands back. Did he came ever? Did he came ever? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, don't move. Okay, don't move, don't do anything. All right. Okay. Okay, so I was saying the tool does also schema validation. So we'll check that your metadata objects are past the validation with the JSON with the schema. You know, playing manually with these files could be risky, so that's why I first step I test that. And also the connectivity with the databases is also checked at the beginning. If they are broken, the tool will tell this connection string is broken or something like that. The analysis folder is where we'll see the conversion report being generated, and then the extensions folder is where I'm releasing the plugins. The plugins are just organized by their name and subfolders, and each folder has the files that needs to be moved. Well, first there is a README file. So open the read instruction. It will tell you what to do with each plugin. And so for first round, I'm going to install the tool and run out of the box, and then we'll do the series time with the plugin. The configuration. So first, opening the config file, there are connection strings that need to be configured. And it comes up. Okay. One program already crashed. That's great. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna forget. Let me try another software then. It is big 3K. Okay, old style works always. Okay. So the only part that needs to be modified are the connection strings. There are 5 connection strings, and the reason is because there is the source and the destination master database. There is the Sitecore forms destination database. Well, the other 2 are because the tool supports the conversion of data from 2 different data sources. You can have your form data in a SQL database or store in MongoDB analytics database. So the tool supports both migration of data. And but I already prepared this file for the connection string, so I'm going to paste it. And then the other settings are in the upsetting JSON object. Oh, same mistake. Sorry, guys. Computer. No, actually, I like it. So the upsetting JSON object are all the settings that the tool needs to run. The ones that they need to be tweaked at the beginning and change are documented very well in the instruction in the tool, but I can go through some of them. Like, for example, I mentioned the ability to support a different data provider for the data. I use the same name that of the properties as you'll find in Web Form for Marker, so that it's going to come like intuitive for you to find the properties of the setting that you have. So for example, for forms data provider, the values are SQL form data provider or analytics form data provider. So this makes it easy to adopt, I guess. There are some settings where you can tell the tool what the characters are invalid when they create the value, when it creates the items in the destination server. So there is the invalid item name chart setting, the same that you'll have in your Sitecore instance. The tool also has new ability that I released just now, like the ability, like a week ago, the ability to run the tool only in a subset of forms. Like if you have hundreds of forms and you want to just spread the tool in a subset, you can specify a limited array of GUIs to pass to the tool, so they will be reducing the scope of conversion and migration. And by default, I'm excluding the sample form, the one that comes with the perform access. I don't want them to be converted in Sitecore forms since the tool is deprecated. So by default it's false, but I added that setting because I use that to test and build the tool. I use it because those demo forms have everything in it. So it's okay. I'm gonna leave it just disable. So when I do the demo, should I become handy, I can turn it on and I'm gonna migrate them. Another thing that is available in terms of settings is ability to exclude from the migration items that are referencing other items that are not part of Sitecore form, like for example, goals or analytics items, or anything like maybe a redirect page. So you have a GUID that you are redirecting to, or any of these items, they may not exist in your target destination instance. So you can convert them, but when you run the tool, when you run the form, when you use the form, you may start to have errors because those items don't exist yet on the target instance. Now imagine this tool in the context of an upgrade. So I see this tool to be complementary with the Sitecore Express migration content tool, where that tool should take care of migrating all these items that are not part of a form formatter. So for my demo, I'm gonna disable it because I know that my forms have goals that get triggered when a submission is successful that I will not have in my destination instance. All right, well, let's give it a try. So let me migrate again. So first of all, because I like this Tasca tool, what do you do? I added up the help so that I can know what I can use. I thought that this was the minimum thing to do in the tool. So if you run the tool without, there are two ways to run the tool. So very simple. There is with the parameter convert or with the parameter convert no data. I want to just do the items, not the data. If you don't pass any parameter, the tool will not do anything. We'll just do the analysis. We'll do a dry run of the conversion and create the analytics conversion tool that will tell you, okay, these fields were not converted. This could be useful if you don't want to start to migrate things and then discover later that you have issues. For the purpose of this demo, to speed up, I'm going to just run with the convert. I'm confident that it's going to succeed. So, no great, no UI, it's a console app, but I try to build something in the console app to give some kind of a progress. Now, the tool it's gone through processing all the field items, creating them, migrating also the data. So it takes a little bit of time, depends on how many fields you have. It's 15-20 seconds per form. Let me see why this is taking longer. Oh, you know what? I may need to the instances. Hold on, 15. Quick. Demo gods are here. Well, well, this is different. It's usually much faster. So I'm supposed to think that there may be some issues, but we'll see. Let me see if I can influence you. Probably have a big open. So it's all local, so it should work in terms of connectivity. Otherwise, it will tell me, oh, you don't have, like, it will fail the connectivity. No. I don't, just, the instances are running, so, let me see. It was all fake, this tool. Sorry, guys, Sandra. Okay, we got one. It's definitely faster. I don't know why, what's going on my machine, that, I don't know, everything was crashing before, so. Oh, that's a good one. Gonna check right now what's going on. There are system interrupts. Oh, blame on Slack. Hands up, hands. You guys please don't watch training. Okay, it's progressing. So as you can, it should be faster now. So be sure that you don't have other application running on your machine when it's running, because it definitely is going to slow down a little bit, the program. You can think it's automated, so you can start your way, you start the tool, you go to the coffee machine, you talk with your colleague, you have a nice coffee, come back, hopefully it's done. No, it's not done, go back to the coffee machine, have another coffee, and eventually it's going to finish. Don't tell your manager that you're getting so many coffees. Okay, it's almost done. I promise, that the data migration part is faster now. So we're almost there. And I'm going to disable the demo, the other form to speed up. So here we go. Okay, right, the data was fast. So total 3 minutes and a half for 7 forms, 3 seconds of form. Okay, maybe that's the time. It's just because I was in the pressure of a presentation. I think it's too long. No, maybe it's better. It really depends on whatever you have running, but also how many fields you have and the complexity in the conversion. So, few things to know after the conversion is done. Few things to know. This is directly writing data in your SQL database. So it's not clearing the cache. It's not doing any post event processing. So you only need to do 2 things. The same thing that you do usually with the expert migration tool. Reset IF, recycle the output, that will clear the cache in your Sitecore instance. And then also reindex your Sitecore indexes, rebuild the Sitecore indexes. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, need a script, fancy script to recycle. And now I'm going to go into Sitecore. Recycle, finish. Definitely taking longer. Okay, here we go. And now I'm going to go in the control panel, and hopefully this doesn't take that long. Just need to rebuild one index, the Sitecore master index, because I mean, everything was migrated to your master database, so that's the only index that you have to rebuild. everything else, once you publish, you can trigger the indexing on the web.
They should work. You save your form now. Like for 9, it'll actually rebuild the index for the person you create a form. And you're like, where'd my form go?
It's definitely when I was creating forms. No, it will refresh the index automatically. There is this version, but I saw people complaining about. So it depends. There may be other scenarios that trigger that issue, not just the creation itself. Okay, let's go form. So I make it 7 forms, and ooh, I see 21. Why? Well, there are 21 because my forms have 3 languages. So I'm of course migrating all their languages as well. And in the forms view, you see all the languages. Of course, these are just the same items with 3 languages. But this is the way that you see forms in the form app. Now let me filter because otherwise I'll go crazy with Japanese. So let me stick with the English. And so these are the forms. I have also a demo form that I created. Let's go inside one of these. And here we go. This is my form. I got migrated from the source, and everything is there. One thing to keep in mind is that the fields, so there's any field that doesn't have a mapping will be converted. They will still be converted, but to the input default field type. I decide to bring them over even if there is no mapping for the reason that there may be some data that has been submitted for this form, that they have an ID, a GUID that relates the data, submitted data for that field. And so having the field, even if it's not the final template, having in the destination, I think it helps the developer then to say, okay, this should be a custom field type. Let me change that. So in this example, I have a capture field that is asking type detection, but this is just, it's not a capture field as because capture doesn't exist in Sitecore forms of the box. So to have capture field there, I need to expand the Sitecore forms, installing Sitecore form extensions, and then installing the extension in my module that supports that migration. So the last few minutes, I'm gonna do how many minutes? I have another 5 minutes, right? No?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see it. Okay. Thanks. And that. Oh, come on. Demo got also my persistence to use the wrong tool. And I was kind of. I guess it's because I'm doing mathematically the same. Okay, now I'm reading. So I'm gonna just install the extensions for the Sitecore form, and in terms of I need to reread for myself the instructions. I need to copy in the root folder the finding file that was there, root delivery with the module, and then I have to uncomment specific settings that were already in the offsetting JSON file. So that's straightforward. Let me do this. From form, good. So this should be 30 seconds.
right?
Correct. So you can run again without deleting it. It will override and apply changes to the form that the item that we're migrating. 3 seconds. While we wait, do you guys have any questions? Well, no? Yeah, go for it. Like,
Our migration where are on different servers earlier and locked down. So how would you handle that? I'll let you.
yeah, it's a developer tool. Like I will not recommend this running directly in production because you are in the process of targeting a Sitecore version to another Sitecore version. So it's a scenario that in production may not happen, and at the moment I'm not supporting in instant conversion in the same instance.
So you could just like command locally and then package it
Right.
higher. My little question
Correct.
about that is that seems easy enough like packaging forms, but what about the form data? How do you make that higher?
So this is exactly how you're doing an upgrade. You're working on a VM. You're working on a lower environment, non-production environment first, and then you eventually promote that environment up, the entire environment, to become your new production.
I'm going to be the moderator just because we're right
Yeah,
behind.
I think.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and well, so let me. I want to be cautious of the time for Mark, and so I'll. Let me refresh. For instance, publish. I'll show you the form, and then I'll close up. While that comes up, maybe I can talk about just few information while that's required. So the tool, as I said, you can find it on GitHub and on the Sitecore Marketplace. It's an open source tool, so if you have any feature or suggestions or you find any bugs, feel free to open an issue directly in GitHub. And I guess we'll do the questions later, but if you don't have a question now, but you have a question while you're using it, feel free to reach out to Twitter or on Sitecore Slack on the WFFM and forum channel. And then I'll show you directly the item. And now you can see it's a capture. Maybe you can't see that, but it's a capture field type. Doesn't have any parameters. The capture item doesn't have any field. It's just a wrapper. Yep. And that was it.